And two, man, we back and we better. Let's get it.
We out here. We out here.
Daniels takes the snap, drops back, finds a man in the air. He's going for it all. Who else? Frank Darby with the grab. Are you kidding me? Darby, 84, a playmaker for the Devils.
Jaden Daniels takes this one, fakes the handoff to Eno Benjamin, unloads this one, deep bomb all the way inside the 5-yard line. Brandon Ayuk.
Daniels under center, fakes the give to Benjamin, now has to improvise. Jaden Daniels to Eno Benjamin, touchdown Devils. How about that for Arizona State?
A team that was once 5-1 and ranked number 17 nationally now falls to 5-5 on the season. ASU losing to Oregon State last weekend. It's a tough scene to watch.
And you had to bring it up, Eric.
I had to.
You got to bring us all down, but really, it's been that way for the past almost 5 weeks now. It feels like 5 episodes of this show. We've started off this one where I just kind of stare at the camera and just...
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what this has been.
It's been like a steady decline. They hit their peak, and then since then, it's just been downhill from there.
Yeah, and it's been really unfortunate to watch. But speaking of watching, I do have some things for you to watch, and that's highlights. I was on the field in Corvallis. Best shots coming up right now. Corvallis, Oregon was the scene as the Sun Devils set to take on the Oregon State Beavers. Neither team bowl eligible yet. The Sun Devils on a 3-game losing streak. The Beavers were all ready to go in a jam-packed Research Stadium. On the first drive of the game, Jake Luden drops back and bombs one into the end zone, and that was the first score of many as Oregon State went up 7-0 in the very first quarter. That was Isaiah Hodgins on the catch. ASU with an answer. Eno Benjamin storming up the field. We haven't seen him like this in a couple games as he powered through into the end zone. That's a weight room play right there. But really, the Sun Devils and the Beavers just trading scores as Jake Luden showing off his arm, finding his way into the corners of the end zones, and there were a lot of struggles with this Sun Devil defense. The offense, on the other hand, is Jaden Daniels right into the corner. That right there is Frank Darby for his first touchdown catch of the day. The score now 14-14 at the end of the first, and there's Jake Luden one more time. Check him out there, Isaiah Hodgins finding him back over in the corner, and that was just a great example of how well this team played all season. Go Beavs, look at these guys dedicated in the Corvallis cold. And it wasn't until the second quarter that the Sun Devil defense stepped up, and there's Kalen Curse-Thomas with the sack. Come at me. There he's dapping up Ashari Crosswell. He started to play a really nice game, and this is when things started to turn in the Sun Devils' favor. A long punt all the way back to the other side of the field, and I'm just going to let this one speak for itself. Brandon Ayuk. Can you say crowd silencer? A 62-yard punt return touchdown for Brandon Ayuk had Sparky fired up too. Unfortunately for the Sun Devils, it was also enough to fire up Jamar Jefferson as a 4-yard touchdown run for him. Right here, put the Oregon State Beavers increasing their lead. There was their band over in the end zone on the field for their senior night, but Jaden Daniels sacked by Hamilka Rashid Jr., and that was an explosive night for him. The ASU offense, especially the O-line, knew it had to step up as they enter into the second half, and right there they did just that. Ashari Crosswell defending screen passes like nobody's business right here, and Roe Wilkins putting on pressure right now. Luden steps out of it, but Wilkins wraps him up, and the Sun Devil defense really put out their A-game later on. But it really just wasn't enough. Jake Luden firing one into the end zone. Check out that from Togi I. The hurdle, taking a notebook out of the Hurdle U playbook. Oregon State now up 35-21, a 14-point lead, but Kyle Williams with a big man play, trucking his way into the end zone, able to put ASU back within striking distance right here, and Jaden Daniels throwing off his cannon. Look at this vertical passing game from ASU all the way to Brandon Ayuk. Hey, first down. The Sun Devils now knocking on the door of getting this game even closer, and right there, Brandon Ayuk with an opportunity to tie or win the game on a 4th down conversion. 35-34, 2-point conversion here as it's pitched off to Eno. He's in trouble, and he fires one, looking for Jaden Daniels in the corner, but it's picked off. A Failed two-point conversion for ASU, 35-34 Oregon State as the Sun Devils drop to 5-5.
Ever since the decision was made official on December 3rd, 2017, the Herm Edwards era has been one of excitement in Tempe. It was a fresh look at what was a program that had been lost in mediocrity for years. But it wasn't a universally accepted move. Many people had doubts about the then 63-year-old, and they still have doubts to this day. His first year was filled with many highs, but also many lows, and the Sun Devils would end up a still mediocre 7-6. But something felt different. Something felt hopeful. Now let's fast forward to the 2019 season. New, young, and talented faces all over the roster, and a blazing hot start to the season at 5-1 had the Herm train on an unexpected roll. But soon, the script would flip, and after several less than ideal losses, the Sun Devils now sit at 5-5, fighting merely for bowl eligibility. Which leads me to this. Herm Edwards' job is not in jeopardy. For now. But we know the leash a coach gets from the fans and the program sometimes can be very short. And if next year all these current new faces don't take a step up and make a noticeable improvement, Edwards' image could shift. Well, his track record wouldn't be bad, it wouldn't be good. And if the Devils don't make a bowl game this year, I believe the clock will start ticking on Edwards. Charisma and mindset doesn't always translate to success, and it doesn't have the same charm when the record doesn't reflect it. As of right now, I believe in Edwards, and I do believe this program is headed in the right direction. But that's only as of right now. We still have the future.
Eric Ruby with the bigger picture of an ASU franchise, really, but now for more recent upcoming events on the horizon. Rob Werner in the broadcast center. Rob, to preview the Oregon game coming up this week. Rob, really appreciate you coming on this week. And first of all, we just have to know, what's so special about this Oregon team as compared to teams of years past?
Yeah, Zach, I mean, two words for you really to say why this Oregon team is so special. Justin Herbert. The senior quarterback has been leading this team all season, obviously, to 9-1 record, 7-0 in conference play, and this team just dominates with him as the signal caller. I mean, he throws the ball all over. He can run it. He's tougher than people think. And one thing that's kind of cool about him is he stayed for his senior season. We're seeing tons of quarterbacks, tons of college football players wanting to get out of college, not be around their teams as they know their draft stock is rising. That's not this guy at all. He wanted to come back for a senior year to see if they could win and go to the college football playoff, and now they have a pretty good chance to do so.
Now, Rob, of course we know about Justin Herbert and his NFL potential as a top prospect in the draft, but what about the rest of the offense? What makes that Ducks offense so dynamic this season?
Yeah, Zach, I mean, you're right. Everybody knows who Herbert is. A lot of people don't understand how underrated this Oregon defense is, though. They play very physical. Troy Dye, the linebacker for them, leads the team in tackles with 50. He's very hard to scheme against, as is the entire defense. And Rob Lycan said this week, this team and this defense might be harder to scheme against than even Utah and USC, two teams that ASU had trouble with early on this season. So it's going to be interesting to see how ASU combats this athletic secondary. Brandon Ayuk is going to have his hands full. Last year he had a pretty good game up in Eugene. He's hoping to have the same kind of success this year.
Now, what do you expect in this game as far as the game itself, but also implications on the college football playoff itself? I know ASU not looking to make it, but Oregon certainly looking to make a run.
So there's huge implications for both teams, really. I mean, Oregon needs not just to win this football game, but they need to keep winning in convincing fashion. They are going to want to be winning this game not by 10, not by 15. They want to win this game by 30 or 40 points, and they have the capability to do that sort of a thing with Justin Herbert, with Troy Dye, with guys like that, with Johnny Johnson, a Phoenix, Arizona native. They have the firepower to do it. For Arizona State, it's tried to end the losing skid. It's been 4 games in a row. This ASU team is reeling right now after starting 5-1 and having the 17th ranked team in the nation. Right now for ASU, it's stop the bleeding. For Oregon, it's the opposite. Keep the bleeding going and make it very difficult on Herm Edwards and company. I expect Oregon to come out and play really fast, on fire early on in this game, and it's going to be important to see how ASU's defense is able to hold up the initial Oregon threat and see how ASU's offense can come back after that.
Rob, we always appreciate you. From the broadcast center, Rob Werner. Now coming up next, Quinn Jamison. A couple red flags that he saw earlier on in this ASU team's season.
The sudden collapse of Arizona State football may come as a surprise to fans who saw their 5-1 start, but in reevaluating the first 6 games of the season, the red flags were there. Winning just distracted from them. The offensive line was in shambles, Eno Benjamin wasn't finding the space that he saw last year, and ASU was eking out victories left and right in large part because of the defense. The team was playing close to 30 freshmen every single game. That success isn't sustainable. It shouldn't be a shock that the losses have caught up with them. That's what happens to young teams. It doesn't help that their defense has been caught in a slump and given up 21 or more points in 5 straight games, or that the Sun Devils have been outscored 56-28 in the first quarter during their last 3 games. It's not fair to call ASU a pretender because they never arrived. It'll take some time, but when they do arrive in the years to come with an experienced and battle-tested team, the trials and tribulations they face this year will be seen as nothing more than a stepping stone in the right direction.
Brandon Ayuk extended his arm into the end zone with 1:40 left on the clock. 35-34 was written on the scoreboard, and for most coaches, a difficult decision would be on the immediate horizon. For Herm Edwards, the question was already answered. Probably before the game even started, to be honest. The failed 2-point conversion was the most talked about topic after Saturday's loss to Oregon State. Not that Jaden Daniels had thrown for over 300 yards with 3 touchdowns, not that Brandon Ayuk had nearly a 200-yard game, and certainly nobody was talking about Kalen Kearse-Thomas's 11-tackle, 1-sack game. Instead, Herm's decision to go for 2 made headlines on every ASU football beat. It's not surprising, but really, was there a right answer? After a 90-yard, 11-play drive that silenced a once boisterous Oregon State crowd, Herm was confident that his team could easily get 2 more yards. He said so in his presser Monday. But again, is there a right answer? Convert for 2 and put up a defensive stance to win the game, or kick and go to overtime in Corvallis? We'll never know. What I do know is this, that this is the first step in building a championship caliber program. I will not get ahead of myself here. We're talking about the Pac-12 South crown. But going for 2 shows that the team isn't settling. Herm isn't settling for 2-star recruits. He won't settle for a 500 season, and my guess is he won't settle for a season where the team misses a bowl game. He simply won't. It takes guts to pull that off, and that's exactly what this team is building on in the future.
Brandon Ayuk all alone on the left side. Eno Benjamin on the left of Daniels. Daniels shotgun. Oregon State showing pressure. And Oregon State sends pressure. And Brandon Ayuk with a catch and a touchdown for Arizona State. Daniels was hit. It didn't matter. Beautiful throw, beautiful catch. And ASU with an opportunity to tie or take the lead.
Up and down the West Coast for some Pac-12 top plays. First off from Corvallis, here's Luden. Finding in the flat is Noah Todiai. Whoa! Eric, the jump, the hurdle, taking a look out of Herm Edwards' Huddle U playbook right there.
That is very ASU-like. You see a ton of ASU players hurdle when they're in the open field, but let's stay in the same game and let's stay in open field as Brandon Ayuk, number 2, for our number 2 play, is going to make 2 Oregon State defenders miss, and it's over from there. He's got so much speed. If he finds any hole up the middle, as he's done in multiple games this season, and right here, he's going to find himself in the end zone.
And he's just adding to his NFL potential by being a kick return and punt return specialist. Hey, speaking of NFL potential, Justin Herbert, bomb right there off the flea flicker. And if anyone asks why he's not a top prospect, that's my answer to it. Pac-12 top plays. Justin Herbert. If anyone would like to know why I don't think he's one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback entering this draft class, I'm going to show him that video, Eric.
Yeah, it was truly incredible. Just if you looked at the ball was gliding through the air like an NFL quarterback. It's a weird thing to say, but if you're an NFL quarterback, you can't have that ball whiffing around in the air, and it just had that certain lift to it.
And coaches, scouts, GMs, they can look at stats, they can look at footwork all they want, but there's one thing that never fails, and that's the eye test. Tell you, Justin Herbert, he looks like an NFL quarterback.
And he truly is an NFL quarterback. He could have been an NFL quarterback right now, but he stayed in Oregon for another year, and that's the quarterback the Sun Devils have to face this weekend.
Well, they'll be looking to end their 4-game losing streak. Sun Devil players hoping not to make it 5. But from all of us at the house, Zach Keenan, Eric Ruby, Sun Devils taking on Oregon, primetime Saturday night. We'll see you next week.